What it do, daddy? God.
No.
This is the 24mm f/14 probe lens from Laowa. It's a macro lens, kind of looks like an anteater or like the barrel on a shotgun, and that's definitely how you shoot a shotgun. I'm Canadian, you can tell. And for those that may be unfamiliar, macro filmmaking, it's one of the ways that we love to infuse creativity into our videos because it takes things that are generally small and makes them feel big. And we've experimented with macro videography in the past with our Rokinon macro lens, which is a 100mm f2.8, but this Laowa macro lens is very, very different. Of course, the first thing that jumps out when you see this lens is its unusual shape. It's 16 inches in length, but just 1.5 inches wide. It's like a shrunken elephant trunk that you put onto your camera's lens. But this bizarre form factor is important because it's what makes this lens so cool to shoot with. You see, the minimum focusing distance on this lens is about 1.5 feet. So that means from where the lens begins at its base, your subject needs to be at least 1.5 feet away if you want to get it in focus. Otherwise, it's just going to be too close. But since the barrel on the Laowa probe lens is almost that long in and of itself, the working distance in practice is only about an inch, which means that I can get incredibly close to my subjects while filming. And this is one of the key distinctions of any macro lens, how close it can get to your subject while still being able to keep focus. Because like I said, the strength of a macro lens is taking small things and making them seem really big. And for this to occur, you need to be able to get extra close to your subject. Now, a typical lens can't do this, but a macro lens can. And the barrel length of this lens has another practical use in that it allows you to create compositions that almost look like flyovers. So in this clip, we've got an antique Bible opened up, laid flat, and the probe lens slowly moving across the pages. And it almost looks like this Bible is the size of a house and we've got a drone flying over it. Here's another clip where we took a bunch of coffee beans, spread them out on the floor, and used a slider to move the probe lens forward and through the seemingly infinite ocean of coffee beans. Another really cool thing about the Laowa probe lens in particular is that it's a wide angle macro lens, which is unusual. I mentioned our Rokinon macro lens earlier. It's a 100mm lens, whereas the probe lens is a 24. So now we're combining macro magnification with a wide field of view and the extra long lens barrel, which allows us to position our lens in places other lenses just can't go. And that opens up a whole new world of creativity. In saying that, I think now would be a good time to do a quick rundown of the studio setup that we used when filming with our probe lens. First, we've got a black Savage paper backdrop that we've extended the length of our studio to create an infinite black background. We're using the Aperture 120D Mark II LED light, and we've got it set up on a C-stand pointing directly downwards to illuminate our subject and also to eliminate spill onto the backdrop. We're shooting on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and using the Rove Pro motorized slider from Rhino to create the sliding movements in our shots. Now, a couple of important things to keep in mind when shooting macro videos. Number one, to properly light your subject, you're gonna need a ton of light. The probe lens is an f/14, so even with our LED light just inches from our subject, turned up to maximum brightness, we still had to bump the ISO on the Pocket Cinema camera a good bit to get proper exposure. The other thing with macro lenses is that because they can make small things look big, that means that any tiny shake in your footage is also going to look big and exaggerated. And that's why we like to shoot our macro clips on a motorized slider. A motorized slider will maintain smooth movement throughout the shot and do its best to minimize shakiness in your footage. And with that being said, you may still need to take advantage of something like warp stabilizer in post, which we did on several shots from this day of filming. Okay, now the fun stuff. Let's talk a bit about shot composition with this setup. The probe lens paired with the motorized slider obviously provides us the freedom to shoot a ton of great footage that we could not otherwise. So the first thing that we did was gathered a bunch of different objects that we thought would look cool getting filmed with this lens. So we brought in a bunch of Bibles, some crosses, we got a crown of thorns, we tried coffee beans, even sneakers because of their bright colors and various textures, leather, suede, canvas, and we thought that might look cool filmed with the probe lens also. And then from there, when it came to arranging the objects in the frame and finding unique angles from which to film them, it really just came down to experimentation. You know, sometimes we'd film from an angle and it would look a bit dull or unremarkable, and then we'd just rotate the object a bit, come at it from a different angle, and suddenly it looks miraculous, just how it goes. And really, this is something that I'm continually reminded of with videography, and not just shooting with macro lenses, but any type of filmmaking, and that is, you just gotta keep pressing record, trying different arrangements, and if you do that enough, at the end of the day, you should have some good stuff to bring into post. And then next time you go out to capture footage, you'll remember what worked for you on previous shoots, and you can try those things again with different lighting or with a different subject. And then you can combine it with something else that's new, and this is how pretty much anything awesome gets discovered, right? So don't be afraid to try something that turns out looking silly. We did a lot of it on this day shooting the macro videos, because without that experimentation, you may never stumble onto something really cool. Two final things I want to mention about the probe lens. It comes with an LED light at the end of the barrel, if you can believe that. So if you put your lens inside of a sneaker, for instance, you can use that light to illuminate your subject, even in spots where light would be traditionally impossible. One way we took advantage of this was while filming a Bible. We put the probe lens in between two pages, and that created a cascading sort of kaleidoscope effect with the words on the page, which was one of my favorite clips that we got. And then we haven't experimented with this yet, but we certainly will. The end of the probe lens is waterproof, which means there's an entire underwater world to explore with this lens also. If you want to see more of the footage that we shot with the probe lens, you can find it all at media.nucleus.church. That's our unlimited stock video platform for churches. You can download any and all of these clips and use them in your own projects at church. We've got no download limits, and all of the footage is delivered in 4K ProRes for the highest quality, or you can also download the clips in 1080p H.264 if you're looking for a quicker edit, or if you just want to download one of these clips directly on your phone and use it in a social post, like as a background in an Instagram story. You can also head directly to nucleus.church to start your free trial of Nucleus with no credit card required. And when you do that, you'll get access to 30 free 4K video clips, and you can start downloading those right away. Again, head to nucleus.church to start your free trial. At this point, we've got something like 25,000 clips that we've captured and curated for churches that use Nucleus, and we're adding new content every week, so make sure to check that out. You can browse through every clip on the platform for free at media.nucleus.church. And that'll do it for this video. If you have questions about macro videography or the probe lens, leave them in the comments and I'll do my very best to get back to you. Also, consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't as of yet. A thumbs up is also greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in another video. So we're taking the probe lens for its first test run. Got it on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. This is the Aperture 120D light using the single overhead lighting technique, which we like. We've got this Bible that Alex brought in. Alex, how many Bibles do you own?
Well over 100. I've lost count at this point.